Hello and welcome to Leagues Behind, the vodcast of the Arena Gauntlet League that looks back at our past tournament offerings and analyzes whether we got it right the first time or whether it was something we would like to do differently about the tournament. I'm Christopher York, I'm your host, the tournament organizer of the AGL, and today I'm going to be talking about Shadows over Innistrad Remastered from March of 2023, and the winner of that league, Mr. Richard Koffler. Welcome, Richard.
Oh, thanks.
I think this is your second or third appearance on Leagues Behind.
I think I was here for definitely was here to talk about Player of the Year, and I think call time way back.
Call time way back. All right, so this was one of the leagues that you won. And it's one of our short leagues. It's what we called back then, and maybe still sometimes, an accelerated league, which means it only lasts for 3 weeks. And normally we have these kinds of tournaments. We do something wacky or experimental. It's not attached to a sort of major set release with all new cards because players are hyped to play with those cards. Shadows over Innistrad Remastered only had 58 players, not to diminish the weight of your achievement, right, and your accomplishment, but this was when the league was still in a relatively small phase, and this was a short league, so it means that we only had roughly 60 contestants in that. And I'm sure that the fact that these are all sort of cards that are, you know, just seeing a second life on Arena that people have already played with before plays into that pretty heavily. What would you say about that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was. It's not like I had like insanely fond memories of the Shadows of Innistrad set, but it was cards that I was familiar with that I had played with a lot. Um, and it's kind of what kind of happens, I find, is that players that have come into the game in the past couple of years, they see cards from. I mean, these were not that old. I think it was 2017, but even 2017 compared to 2023, there's a huge power delta. So I could see in some cases people just seeing these cards and being like, well, these don't seem that interesting to play with. So I could see people taking a pass on
Yeah, I don't see the logic of that myself because I think that high-powered formats and low-powered formats each have their own individual charms, right? I think sometimes it's okay to if you're driving a car, right, that's not automatic, you have to go through the gears, and each one of those gears has its own function. And I feel like the same with Magic sets. Sometimes when you're going up a hill, you want a nice low gear. Sometimes you got like the straightaway on the highway, you want to hit the high gears. And I think that that's just like Magic sets for every season. There should be a different kind of power level, different focus. And I think that's kind of the reason we keep coming back to the game is that we have the variety in tempo and power that the different sets offer us.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just feel like if somebody came in like 6 months before this set and like, their first set was like DMU or Brothers War, it's like pretty powerful Magic, and then they see this and they're like, maybe doesn't doesn't strike people's interest as much. But I agree with you that there's a place for all sorts of power levels in limited. But
I mean,
yeah,
what this did was it took some cards that were needed on Arena and it kind of dumped them all on there, right? In a tidy package. In terms of like whether you would rather have seen each of the different sets of that block brought out separately on Arena, or whether you think like remastering is a better solution, I think is an open question. What's your opinion on this? Would you like to see sets as they were originally released one by one on Arena, or just take things like we did with Kaladesh and Amonkhet, and now Shadows of Innistrad, and just dump the whole block down as one remastered set?
yeah, it's weird because like they were different draft formats. One was triple shadows, and one was like two Eldritch Moon and one shadow. So it's like I don't know how you offer both of them on Arena. It's a little weird. Most of the cards in the set are not needed for constructed, so they can just sort of shoehorn in the stuff they need for constructed, and then just try and make a limited format with sort of the best of greatest hits. I don't mind what they did. I do like when they have the whole set, but because of the weird big set, small set type of thing, I understand what they did, and I don't think it lessened my enjoyment of the format. The decks, the strategies were mostly the same between the sets.
Yeah.
Like there was only like a couple archetypes that really had like a change. I mean, green blue, it was like investigating, and then it went to like the Eldrazi emerge stuff. But
Yeah.
other than that, most of the archetypes were more or less thematically the same.
So let's go into now the league mechanics because when you said investigate, my ears picked up. Our tournament mechanic, much like the in-game mechanic, was called investigate, and it was essentially a blind reroll. So every loss, you got a pack of Shadows over Innistrad Remastered, and if you didn't like it, you could do a blind reroll into a second pack, so you could investigate further. But the idea was that you never really knew if the second pack would be better or worse than the first pack. So it was a bit of a guessing game with that mechanic. And the other mechanic of note was buyback, which is something we've talked, I think, about on this show once before, which is an initiative to bring lapsed players and new players into the tournament series. So, in other words, if you had never played before a league tournament, or if you haven't played in the last year of tournaments, you get your tournament fee refunded at the end of the tournament. So you can play again essentially for free. Any thoughts on the mechanics for this tournament?
Was this the first time we ever had rerolls? Like if you didn't like your pack, you could ship it. I think this was the first.
No, I think Brothers War came
First.
before this, right?
Oh well, yeah, Brothers War was more choice of two packs, which is could be very very different.
I think
But
this was the first blind reroll. We were still messing around with variations of, I think it was Cable's mechanic, right? Of offering two packs and giving the choice of one.
I mean, it's okay. It's just not that interesting because sometimes like you have like a pack that's like a 5 on 10, and you're like, okay, I'll re-roll, and then you get like a pack that's like a 0.
Yeah.
So it's like that always felt bad. You know, you would want at least like as good, even if your pack was crummy. So it sometimes felt bad, but it's an interesting space. I didn't mind it. I do remember a couple times feeling like, wow, I should have just kept the other one. But you know, uh, it's a. I mean, we've explored rerolls before, but mostly in like to do like once or twice a league. I think it was in the Caverns of Ixalan where people could re-roll, and then there was another league where there was an option to do so as well. I think
Yeah.
there was a map token somewhere
Yeah, we've
in
done
Bloomborough.
it.
One of the paths got a re-roll of some kind. So
Yeah,
yeah.
we've done this often enough. I think that by this time we would call this a kind of French vanilla league mechanic, right? Where you get to choose best of two packs or re-roll a pack or this kind of space. So there was nothing, I don't think, too controversial or exciting about the mechanics. I'm just trying to look through my notes here. I'm wondering, this set had a number of special guests, right, added to it. I think there were 3 or 4 bonus sheets.
Yeah, there was rotating bonus sheet.
Yeah.
I can't remember if we just if we took out the bonus sheet or if we I think we just did we remove the no, we didn't remove the bonus sheet because I did have a couple cards from the bonus sheet in my packs.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly how we handled that because it was rotating on Arena.
Yeah, I
There
think
was I
they
think 4 different ones.
right because we only had 3 weeks of tournament. I think we didn't do it week by week, but rather, I think it was just randomly generated, like which bonus sheet you got, if I
Or it
recall
could have just
correctly.
been like we pulled from all the bonus sheets maybe.
Maybe that's it. Yeah, I mean, which
They
which
did have at
bring
least 1 or 2 bonus sheet cards in my deck.
yeah, they were
Looking
there.
through
They
it, I
were in
know
the
there was
mix
one
there
more
for
bonus
sure.
sheet. Yeah.
But this kind of also, I guess, brings up another topic. So people like Jordan, right? They put a lot of effort into sort of making their own cubes of magic sets, or making like Lotta, I think, and Adam as well put effort into, and Johnny when he was part of the LC put effort into making dedicated bonus sheets that were sort of thematically, related to the main set. Do you think that, for example, we should be doing more remastering on our own, right? So in the past, we would let Wizards kind of take the lead on these things. We'd say, okay, you guys are the experts. You got months and months and millions of dollars to do this, set development. But I think the faith in the company, I mean, they've done great things, but in terms of saying like their expertise is incredibly unique, or they've got foresight that we lack, I think that those claims might be under some greater amount of question or doubt at this point. So, do you think that we should be more proactive in remastering our own sets? Like, let's say once we get I don't know, a sort of number of cards from Lorwyn, for example, that are released through the arena anthologies or historic anthologies or bonus sheets or whatever. Should we be putting together our own sort of curated sets?
Yeah, it's not so much doubt in the people that make the game, but it's more like faith in the people that we got on our side,
That's a good way of putting
on
it. That's
the
less negative. Thank you, Richard.
definitely absolutely put faith in their ability to craft interesting experiences by adding cards that are interesting but not well, once in a while there's some power level outliers that they throw in our bonus sheets or remastered sets or bonus slots. It's like sometimes there's been a couple times where I scratched my head and I was like, really, that card? But for the most part, it's usually a success. There's been more hits than misses, I would say.
I really have to watch
That I
Lada. She
believe.
keeps sneaking alchemy cards into the mix somehow, here and there.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah. I think. I mean, not to call out anybody or
No,
anything. I
definitely
don't
to call
know.
them out.
I don't know who was responsible for the slots in Ether Drift, but I ended up playing against multiple times the Agatha's Soul Cauldron in a
Right.
game of Ether Drift League where somebody was giving all of their creatures the same exhaust abilities over and over, and they were like, it was like an exhaust ability of a creature in my graveyard. And I was like, why League Committee, why? But for the most part,
Right.
I'm pleased with the cards that show up in those slots. So
I mean, this is a constant sort of discussion in the league committee. Is like, should we let people have their fun and play with powerful cards, or should we sort of be paternalistic about it and tamp down the power level intentionally to let everybody have more of a chance? And I do think that there's pros and cons on either side. If you let powerful cards into the format, there's a greater chance that a novice is going to sort of ascend using those powerful cards, but there's an equal chance that those powerful cards end up in the hands of, a stone cold spike that's going to just use them to get to the top. So I think again there's arguments in either direction.
yeah, but I mean, it's the same with the bonus sheets. Like, we left the Final Fantasy bonus sheet out of League, but I mean, there were cards on there that were like A pluses, and then there were cards that were Fs as well. So it's like, like you could have just as easily found an Atraxa as you could a Strixhaven Stadium or whatever in Final Fantasy. So it balances out for the most part. But like I said, I have faith in the people. Like we care, like they care about making it a good experience. So they're not putting in cards with the thought like, oh, this is going to make somebody miserable.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, to make it sort of contemporary, there was a debate between myself and I think the rest of the league committee about whether or not the bonus sheet should be included. My thought was that, well, these cards are fresh on Arena. We've never had a chance to play with them. This is already a flawed set. What harm could there be in bringing in the bonus sheet to sort of spice things up? But I mean, you can decide for yourself whether or not it was right or wrong that I was sort of talked down from this position by Jack and others who were sort of saying, well, you know, these cards don't really have a place in the set. And I was thinking, well, don't they? I mean, couldn't they? For me, I'm just about like, hey, these cards are new on Arena. They've already dedicated the, you know, computational space to make these cards work. Why shouldn't we be enjoying them? I want to try Winds of Change on Arena. Hell yeah! It's been a while since I rolled that card out of a deck. So and just see what happens, right? So I guess maybe I'm more of a Johnny than a Spike in that way, in the sort of archetypal sense of the word. Like I like to see things happen that haven't happened before on our client, and I think that yeah, new sets are great times to do that. But also like I'm still thinking about a way to use all of these bonus sheet cards that have been never really used to good benefit in our tournament series. All right, so to get back to Shadows over Innistrad Remastered in specific, you as the winner in this league, I'm sure that you've got one of the most solid set of memories and tales and lore about how the tournament went, how it ended up, and you know what you did to be successful in this environment. So, would you regale us, first of all, maybe with a few stories about your main league experience and any sort of problems or perks that you encountered along the way?
I don't have too many stories. I sort of had a white deck the whole time. I think by maybe the beginning of the second week. I mean, it was only 3 weeks. I did go 11-4. I think maybe after the second loss or something, I was on a Boros deck, and I just played the Boros deck until the end. Looking at it now, if I'm looking at some of the rares, I had a Zealous Conscript, which was that was a bonus sheet card, so that's no one's ever expecting a Zealous Conscript. Tell you that much.
That's the one too that that you can chuck a card to give it +3/+0. Is that correct?
No, it's a 5 mana 3/3 haste that you
Oh
can
yeah.
active treason anything of your opponent.
Okay. Yeah, that's great.
So you get a 3/3 haste and you get to active treason something. Other
Right.
rares, I had Thalia's Lancers, which could go get Thalia, the Heretic Cathar. That's the 3 mana one. I had a Collective Effort. I had two Hand Garrison. So just like all really good aggressive cards, Declaration in Stone. And the headliner, of course, three Thraben Inspector, my boy, as it were.
I think that any league where you can get a card that seeks out another card is pretty amazing, right? Like just like in Commander where tutors are banned, I feel like in this kind of like weird extended sealed format that we play, cards that look for a certain type of other cards. Like anytime you have like a Trinket Mage kind of effect at
Yeah.
work, you can turn your deck into a Swiss Army knife and employ it to great effect. You had a similar experience, I think, in a previous league where you could dip into your sideboard mid-game with that fairy. I forget the name.
Yeah, that was a bit
Fae of
different. Here,
Wishes.
I only had one target for the Thalia's Lancers,
Yeah,
which was Thalia, but it was still a 5 mana 4/4 first strike. Yeah, that was in our first Chaos League. So that must have been beginning of 2021,
but
where
still,
I had a Fae of Wish,
yeah, Fae of
and
Wishes
it
was
just
the bomb.
it just by the end of the league, I didn't make top eight. I started off really badly, and then I came back quite strong and made a run for it. But by the end of the league, I could just get anything, and I just had a bunch of dual lands in my deck. I was playing two colors, but I had basically every dual land that touched one of my colors, just so I could go get anything and just randomly just show up with some silly card that they could never expect. Yeah, so that was fun. This wasn't quite a toolbox. Thalia's Lancer's going to get Thalia was as my only
Yeah, it was
target. Very
one
flavorful, but
tool in your
that's
toolbox.
interesting. I do remember, I believe, like I think six or seven of the top eight decks had multiple copies of Thraben Inspector and were just, uh, some version of a white aggro deck. I believe that was a prevalent strategy and works for me. I'm not complaining.
Okay, so that's the main league experience. Do you remember the Mega Draft at all?
Yeah, so I remember that I wasn't super enthused with my deck. Sometimes I draft a deck and I'm like, okay, this could work. Or sometimes, I never get my hopes too high. My best feeling is like, okay, maybe this could work and the curve looks nice. Here, this wasn't my favorite deck I ever drafted. I sort of was lacking. I wanted maybe some more rares, maybe a bit more removal, but I just seemed to have enough of everything to make it through. It was a blue-black deck. A lot of, what people would call tempo cards, a lot of flyers, just enough removal to make it work, a couple card draws. I was splashing for Edgar the Charmed Groom.
Very
My
nice.
other rares were Voltaren Pariah, which is 5 mana 3/3 with that you could sacrifice three creatures to transform. And my other rare was a Champion of the Perished, which was a 1 mana 1/1 that
Yeah,
got a +1 counter whenever a zombie came in.
j-
So
just
this
just
wasn't, yeah.
sorry, just for those at home who might not know, the Mega Draft was kind of special in that it was the first time
Yeah.
we blended all of the Innistrad sets together. So there's one pack of Shadows over Innistrad Remastered, then followed by a pack of Crimson Vow, then followed by a pack of Midnight Hunt, and then another pack of Shadows over Innistrad Remastered, another pack of Vow, another pack of Midnight Hunt.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, I should have mentioned that.
yeah, which maybe explains some of the includes that Richard is citing there,
Yeah.
how they got there.
Yes. So yeah, so a little bit of a little bit of card draw, some flyers. Just like it was just like good enough at everything, but not like incredible deck. But I did end up winning, so I'm not going to discount the deck. It was one of those decks where after the draft I was like, this doesn't look amazing, but it played better than it looked, I guess.
Do you remember anybody who you ran up against in the finals? Any close calls?
Um, I know I played Evan in the second round, and that was very tight. And then I was in the feature match for the last round. Makes sense. It was yourself and John P calling it. I was up against Damien actually, and I remember the first game I kept a two-lander and just never got there. I think I mulligan kept a two-lander and never got the third land and died. And then the other two games he just flooded out. He was playing a ramp deck that had a lot of ramp and like not as much top end to match up with all the ramp. So I remember in the second and third games, I kind of just was able to play some flyers and a couple other creatures and make it through. That's up on YouTube, so you can find it on my YouTube channel under the Shadows over Innistrad Remastered
And
top
I
eight.
was doing commentary on that with John, right?
Yeah,
It's funny.
exactly.
Whenever I see Damien play, I always get a very uneasy feeling. It always feels like a glass cannon. Like it feels like he's either gonna do it in a spectacular way, or it's gonna fizzle hard. I mean, when I see him on your feature matches, I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. He's got a very aggressive play style, and maybe just a little bit loose around the corners, right? He's generally good. He can be loose sometimes too, and sometimes it seems like he goes all the way to the limit, and then sometimes he goes over the edge, and sometimes he doesn't. It's always dramatic watching him play.
I mean, he's ambitious, but I don't think he ever like he doesn't usually go like really out of line, but just ambitious in a lot of ways, I would say.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing.
But a good
He's the kind of
player,
player
like
that
you know,
he'll
you're
make
not going to
probing
get easy wins
attacks,
off
right?
him.
I feel like Damien's the kind of guy like I'll always call him because I know that he will take cheeky probing attacks without having the goods to back it up.
Yeah, maybe sometimes. I don't think our games came down to that, but
Yeah.
yeah, I've seen him take some interesting lines. Absolutely.
All right, so let's go now to the sort of more general talk about, again, how this sits with other remastered tournaments we've had. So compared, say, to Amonkhet Remastered or, gosh, Kaladesh, can we still call it that? Remastered? um, the, when you look at those tournaments, right? I mean, I always feel like the audience is a bit lukewarm on them, right? And then the numbers for Shadows over Innistrad Master kind of also tell the same tale. What can we do as a community of tournament designers to turn this around and to make remastered sets just as exciting as new sets to our players, if anything?
I mean, I think we do a good job right now. I get it if people want to take a pass on it. I don't think we're doing anything wrong. I don't think we're turning people off by playing these sets. It's just, but they haven't really done one in a while on Arena. I mean, they had Pioneer Masters, I guess that was the closest, but that was sort of like its own set.
Right.
But they haven't really done a remastered set. They did Cons of Tarkir, but they did the whole set rather than remastering the block or anything like that. So not sure. I mean, I think we do a good enough job at bringing people in and retaining them that it's not on us to make these more desirable to play. It's just we hope for good formats to be released on Arena.
Yeah, I wonder what's up next, right? I mean, they have 7 sets for 2026. It's already a pretty crowded enough schedule. What would you bet would be the next remastered set, and when would it pop up?
I mean, I think the broad goal of these sets was to eventually get Pioneer on Arena, which they kind of do now. I mean, they don't have every card in Pioneer, but they have like most of the basically all the relevant cards that ever go in decks and sideboards. Like they didn't get around to remastering Return to Ravnica or Theros, but that's sort of what Pioneer Masters was. It was sort of just, we're gonna take Return to Ravnica block, we're gonna take Theros, we're gonna mash them together, and we're gonna throw in some other cards to make a usable limited format.
Right.
But I don't. I mean, maybe they want to go back to like pre-Pioneer. Like maybe they want to bring back like the old and original Innistrad, which was like a beloved format. It could be anything. They could take any old set and bring it onto Arena in whatever form they choose. and it will likely get my interest more than like a Spider-Man set or alchemy cards do. So yeah.
Well, you were a fan of Battle Bond. I remember you and Pigeon took down the face-to-face tournament that we did in person back in the day. There's been some whispers that eventually Arena is going to open up a multiplayer mode. I'm not sure how they're going to do it with the client as it stands, but it's something they have a sort of an eye towards doing in the intermediate future. Can you see us running a sort of successful sort of commander style four player league, or maybe like a battle bond style 2-on-2 kind of league? How would that look, do you think? Would we have to do something different for those kinds of tournaments when we move them online, or could we run them as we did in the store?
I mean, I don't know how 2HG would work on Arena. I don't even think they have that on Magic Online.
Oh,
But
really?
multiplayer, yeah, I mean, as long as you can get the four people to play, we could definitely do that. I would I would imagine if it ever releases, there'd be some sort of product that is released alongside meant for multiplayer. Maybe it's a draft, like one of those, like, I think it was called Commander Legends or Commander Masters or Baldur's Gate. Those draftable sets where you're drafting a commander, like that could be something interesting, and then we could port that over to League somehow. Yeah, I mean, if they do it, I mean, I know I've been hearing rumblings for a couple years now that it's coming, but
Yeah.
we seem no closer to it. But at some point, I imagine it'll be there. But with all the things on Arena, we have to be patient and skeptical.
One of the things that I do miss we used to be able to do in the store was the sort of commander pre-con modding leagues, where everyone starts with one of the four sort of basic commander decks and then mods it out with their own set of packs, or more controversially silver bullet selected cards, and play those over a couple weeks. All we have, I think, online that sort of mirrors that would be the Eldraine brawl decks. They contain some cards that we've never used, and they sort of have the sort of all the cards in their pre-constructed deck lists are all on Arena. So we could do that, and it would be like a one-on-one kind of league. But
Yeah,
would there
I
be
might not
interest
be
in
the
that?
one to talk about Brawl with.
No.
I just don't think it. I just don't think it's limited Magic.
Yeah.
I like Brawl and Commander. Like I like them. I'll play Commander. I don't play Brawl and Arena, but I play Commander. I like the idea. I like Limited. I think they're best kept apart rather than try to mash them together.
Fair.
Because the whole point of Limited is you get a varied play experience every time, rather than having like four ofs in your deck. And Commander is you have access to the same card every single game and can build your deck with that in mind. So it's we did do the Brawl League once, and it was fun for what it was, but definitely flawed and not really limited at the end of the day.
Well, I
So
think we made the mistake. We had both Brawl and Alchemy in the same tournament. Like that's the kind of one tournament where we let all of the hair down and went crazy with it.
yeah, I don't even think alchemy was the issue as much
That
as
bear
the
was the
silver
issue.
bullets. But yeah, there was a couple of egregious alchemy cards looking at you, polar bear
Yeah,
and whatnot.
exactly. Yeah, so maybe, I mean, this also brings to mind like something else that could be interesting, which is to have sort of like I wouldn't say a Canadian Highlander type, because we wouldn't have a list of banned cards, but maybe like a singleton league, right? We have like 100 cards and they're all different, and you go at it like that. There's potential in that area. But now I'm sort of wondering fairly far afield. Let's go back once more to the Shadows over Innistrad Remastered tournament. Is there anything that you would change looking back on it, Richard?
I mean, I thought it was good. It was simple. I'm sort of, I enjoy when the league committee stretches the limits of what league offers, but I also like the simple leagues. I know we need to have a balance of both, but no complaints. I would not go back and change anything because the results were favorable for me. So, but I like the simple leagues. I don't mind spicing it up. Like I find, when you can get that right amount of simple, but also choices and agency without it going too far into like complicated, that's a sweet spot. So change it, no, but enjoyed it. Yeah.
since at the time of recording we're sort of in the middle of the Spider-Man League, would you say that's more or less a French vanilla league as well, or would you say it's more on the complicated side from your telling?
I mean, it's fairly simple compared to other leagues. I mean, the hero versus villain sort of plays out itself. It's fine. I think most people have discussed the flaws of the set, so I don't need to go into that. But the League experience is, my conclusion, even after playing League, is it's still a bad format. But the League itself is not exacerbating that in any way. I'd say we're doing our best to fight against it with like the bonus slots, but a lot of the bonus slots are just like everything that fit the Scryfall search. So
Right.
you know like you're getting I've seen people get, I think there's like a connive slash looter slot. Somebody got like a bird that loots, but you need snow mana to loot.
Yes, I saw that.
So it's like, okay, sure. Or you get like an ETB or plus one counters thing. It's like whenever you explore, like this green blue uncommon Icanzil from Lost Caverns of Ixalan. Whenever a creature you control explores, you do something
Yeah.
based on whether they get a non-land or a land. It's like, okay, I get we don't want to curate
Yeah.
to the point of uh, it getting too specific, but also we get like dead cards. But I mean, dead cards is a part of Magic and limited Magic as well.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, famously,
But
Mark
I just
Rosewater
chuckle when I see
defended
some of those
the.
cards show up in packs. I'm just like, geez, come on.
Yeah, it's kind of funny though. It is a moment like you remark on it, and you're remembering it even now. So it is a kind of memorable moment in terms of like what you remember from that tournament. I mean, Mark Rosewater famously defended the existence of one with nothing, because he said, look, there have to be baffling, strange, niche, and just awful cards to train new players on, and even give old players something to talk about. I mean, the hate factor against that card, one with nothing, in the I think it was Champions of Kamigawa set.
Oh yeah, that was from original Kamigawa.
Yeah, so like it was a 1 mana instant you for 1 black, and you could discard your hand. Great.
I believe it was Arcane too.
Oh, okay. No, I don't think it was
Hey.
even. Look it up.
Oh no, okay.
You can do it because you're not an OBS. So you look it up now. You tell me. I don't think it was even Arcane. So this could be reprinted today. I'm fairly certain. Tell me if
One
I'm
with
wrong.
nothing. No, it's not even Arcane.
Yeah.
No.
So it's ready for reprint. Rosewater's got his finger on print, I think, with this. But I mean, I don't mind there being a blank slot here and there, just like I don't mind there being a bomb slot here or there. So I think for me, if part of the fun is the sort of, gotcha moment, and then in the sort of Japanese sense of the term, where you're kind of opening up a random card slot and you're getting low lows and high highs, I think that's probably good for the game and good for our league.
Yeah, well, I feel like in the sets there are enough sort of misses, often at rare and uncommon, that you can just open naturally. That when we curate cards, we want to try and eliminate like that very bottom layer of uselessness a lot of the time, because it's like,
Yeah.
if we're creating our own custom slots that we're curating, like, yeah, not every card's going to be the same quality as others, but we don't want to put cards that just have no words on them for the most part,
Yeah,
when we can help, because there's enough of that already, like in the rare slots and a lot of niche uncommons that will just be in the packs naturally as a result of being in a set. But yeah, I mean, I think what they've done with Spider-Man's fine. I don't think like those slots are like hugely crazily impactful to the point of warping the format. I've seen a few of the offset cards, but I've mostly just seen Spider-Man or Omen Paths cards in play for the most part. Those cards show up sparingly, I've found so far. Maybe as we go on, though, they'll have more of an impact if people have more of them, and definitely now that people are getting the double rare packs, now that they're aligned for good or evil.
yeah. I think that actually this is helpful in terms of like developing the vocabulary of tournament design. So, we think about like hard curation, where you sort of select one card specifically for how it's going to interact with the main set, versus what we have now with Spider-Man League, which is what I would call soft curation, where you're just doing a Scryfall search. You're looking for any set of X cards where X is, the sought after characteristic or set of characteristics that you desire. And I think maybe if you look at hard curation, it can be sometimes limited by the imagination, and it can you're more susceptible to criticism for hard curation, whereas with soft curation, you get like cards that you don't necessarily intend to be in the format. But it is also a bit more. It's kind of exciting to see what kind of weird stuff the Scryfall searches pull out and get people to play with. So I think we're kind of like this is a new space that we're sort of playing in, even though Spider-Man, as you say, is it's sort of just one step beyond French vanilla. We are sort of watching how the experiment with soft curation is playing out. Then again, we're still currently playing with this pick two mechanic, right? We're still in the era where it's like you taking pack A or pack B, where one row of cards is different and one row of cards is the same. We're really just doing the same thing in different ways. Hopefully, it's different enough that people get see the novelty of it and enjoy that. Well, Richard, do you want to say anything about the feature match series and how we've been trying to tie in rule sets of contemporary leagues to sort of facilitate people joining up? How have things been going recently over in the feature match area? That's where you're heading after this. We get you this is your day of dedicated league coverage. So before you jump into it, do you want to give us just a quick, touching of base with regard to how the series is going?
Yeah, so I think maybe like a year plus or so ago, I was, maybe sort of bemoaning the lack of interest in future matches. But now with the growth of our league and sort of we've cleaned up the sign up sort of just there's like a form sent out at the beginning of league where people can just express their interest that covers all the bases, both commentary and playing for the length of the league and which days they would be available. So yes, there's still work done by members of the league committee, Jack primarily, to sort of organize and find the people from week to week. But it's more, there's already a list of people to draw from each week without having to constantly remind. So that's been good, and we've been giving incentives. I think it was Ether Drift, and then again Final Fantasy, where there were team sealeds. I believe it was in those leagues, or what? No, it was Edge. Was it Edge or Team? I can't remember, but I think it was Final Fantasy that they had the team drafts
And now again,
or
it's
team
Spider-Man,
sealed.
right?
Yeah, so we're having the heroes versus villains showdowns starting next week, I believe, or
Yeah,
the week
that's
after.
right. Next week.
Either way, yeah. By then, most people will fall into one of those categories. So yeah, so we're gonna have that as well. So there's little incentives for playing, but just it's good. It's good for community building. It's been quite a while since we had a week of matches canceled due to lack of interest. Even the week six, we got fired up a couple times. So I think there was one where there was a pre-release, so there wasn't enough juice there. But yeah, they're going strong. I do have to thank the league committee, particularly for picking up on some of the weak spots in me covering everything. So it's one of those cases where I don't have to do everything, right? So
Yeah.
it's a team effort. Everybody's working together. I'm coming every Monday night and calling the matches, putting them up on YouTube, and we got the league committee taking care of the signups. So it's been working. I'm happy with it, and I think everybody else is for the most part.
And you've got a rotating cast of co-hosts. Do you have is it every week a different co-hoster, or have you got like a roster that you call on, or how do you decide who calls the shots
Uh,
with you?
it's the league committee also. Jack is the one who's asking people if they want to come with me on commentary. So I'm taking on whoever has agreed to it based on their interest. So people, when they fill out the form, they can also fill out whether they want to try their hand on commentary. And I would encourage anybody who likes to chat about Magic to come and do it. You don't need experience, and you don't need to be a long-time leaguer. I've had league rookies come on and be just as good as people I've known for years here. So everyone's welcome on that front as well.
But since I have you here, Richard, I guess I should also talk a little bit about the AGL cons, right? So you're one of the people that's been to both the North American and the European versions of the AGL con. Can you tell us what that's like? And I mean, the Spider-Man League is the first tournament where Lotta's put out the request of like, hey, what city are you living in, to kind of let people, communicate more freely and meet up locally if they want to sort of like get to know the people in person that they meet on our Discord server for the Arena Gauntlet League. So, do you think this is a good development? Are you heartened by the results? What do you think this means for the community? Would you like to see more done in this regard, less done in this regard? Any
And this
anecdotes?
is this is great. Look, I think I wasn't the first person to meet people from out of town from League, but I was one of the first people to sort of venture out and encounter people out in their hometowns. I know Raphael, I met quite a few times, pretty dating back to a couple years ago, because he lives not too far from where I am, and I sort of when I drive down to Florida, it's sort of on my way back, so passing by and met the crew out in Dallas as well when I was there, and that's over 2 years ago now. I mean, this is great. I mean, I find I'm a little bit spoiled because I'm in Montreal, where a lot of the core members of the league are from. But I've been happy to meet all sorts of others, people like going to the AGL cons in Ontario, going to Europe. That was as the only Canadian there, so it was
Represent.
a lot of new faces, but very very enjoyable as well. And I mean, I'm seeing all the time, like every MagicCon, I'm seeing pictures of meetups of AGL players that that never met each other before then, or combinations of people that hadn't come across each other. So I'm saying almost every MagicCon, I'm seeing there's meetups between players there as well. So I mean, fantastic. And I mean, if it can encourage people who didn't even know they were in the same hometown as other people to meet up, that's great too. I think I remember it was John P who said he met up with somebody he didn't even know he was that they lived in the same city as him until it came up on the podcast, and then they met up for a pre-release. So, I mean, all of it's great. Like it's just this is a real community, right? Like it's hard to explain to people outside of my life. Like when I tell them I went to Europe to go meet with a bunch of people that I met on an online gaming thing, it's very difficult to explain to them.
Yeah, they don't get it.
But when I have a couple minutes, I talk about how it was built, during the COVID lockdowns when people couldn't go anywhere, and that I've kept the connections with those people, and now I'm meeting them. So it's really at that time when everybody was locked away at home, and me being living by myself, it was such a lifeline. So just it's brought me real life friends, not just virtual friends. So reach out to people. If you know somebody's living near you, see if you can meet up with them. Everyone I've met is pretty chill, so it's great. I look forward to meeting more people in the future in person.
Well, Richard, thank you for your time and looking back at Shadows over Innistrad Remastered, for talking about the future of the league more generally, and of course, thanks for everything you do with running the feature matches, which I think that you're probably about ready to set up for the evening.
Yeah, well, we got the first one starting in a little over an hour, so well, by the time this will come out, they'll have already been happened. But yeah, they are happening imminently today. Yes.
Thanks again, Richard. It's been good chatting with you and good catching up. Bye for now.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.